Hi, I'm Wayne Allyn for RootForAmerica.com. Remember the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words? Well, a picture in the media is worth 1,000,000 words and maybe billions of dollars. The media decides what makes the headlines. The media turned the United Airlines scandal into the biggest news story of the year. One customer being beaten and dragged off a plane went viral and destroyed or certainly badly damaged a billion-dollar brand and their CEO, too. In this case, the mainstream media was right. The minute I saw what United Airlines did to one of their own customers, I warned in media interviews that this would destroy or badly damage United Airlines' brand, cost them billions in lost business, and drive their stock price down. This is a business school case study in how to destroy or badly damage a billion-dollar brand literally overnight. This scandal was so powerful because it could have been any one of us. What if that poor beaten and bleeding man being dragged from the United Airlines plane was you, or your husband, or your son, or your dad? That incident wins the award for the worst treatment of a customer by a private sector company this year. Disgraceful. Everyone involved should be fired. But I have a much worse story than this. A similar story, very similar in every way, except far more widespread. The difference is the media never made it a headline. They barely covered it at all. It's also the story of a CEO and terrible abuse of his own customers, but the CEO is former President Barack Obama. The customers are conservative taxpayers. The company that committed the terrible crimes, even sins, against thousands of our fellow citizens, the IRS. Obama's IRS. That's why the media never cared. That's why the media never bothered to cover this scandal. Obama was and still is the media's hero. And the liberal mainstream media hates evil private sector corporations like United Airlines, but they love government agencies like the IRS. They don't want the wrongdoing, abuse, and corruption of government agencies to make headlines. The media covers up scandals involving Democrats and government. They either kill the story or they put it on the bottom of page 98 where no one reads it. The United scandal is the story of the year, deservedly so. But the IRS scandal, ignored by the media, is the story of the century. Now President Donald Trump has the opportunity to expose the most widespread criminal conspiracy ever. This scandal would make the Gambino crime family blush. And I've stumbled upon this political scandal of a lifetime because I'm a witness. I was one of the victims. Now I'm asking President Trump to get involved and seeing that justice is finally served. Back in 2010, I became one of the most high-profile critics of President Obama. My opinions were featured in the national media day and night. In particular, they were featured on Fox News. And suddenly, I became the victim of the most vicious, over-the-top IRS attack any tax expert has ever seen. I was targeted for destruction. It was a witch hunt, persecution, and intimidation. It was meant to punish me, distract me, and bankrupt me. I beat the IRS. A judge in tax court threw the case out. Great news, right? But only 6 days later, after winning in court, I was under a new IRS assault. Tax experts reported this never happened before in history. They told me, you are absolutely on the president's enemies list. Thankfully, I won again. I didn't know 1 cent, but I lost 3 years of my life and tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and I didn't sleep for 3 years. I told my story multiple times at Fox News. Government watchdog Judicial Watch then got involved. They fought a 14-month battle to force the IRS to hand over my IRS tax files. And once we prevailed, we found hard evidence this was a political witch hunt, persecution, and intimidation based on my conservative political beliefs. We have the proof in writing. A government agency in America tried to destroy a citizen based on his political beliefs. But this scandal isn't like the United Airlines scandal. The media destroyed a billion-dollar brand based on one poor man's treatment at the hands of a cold, ruthless bureaucracy. This is so much worse, so much bigger. The IRS scandal is not about one man being abused by a cold, ruthless bureaucracy, and he will make millions, by the way, in a lawsuit against United. Millions for 1 hour of abuse. But the victims of IRS abuse suffered for years, and there are no lawsuits possible because government employees are protected by law from lawsuits. But here's the big story. I'm only the tip of the iceberg. There were thousands of victims just like me attacked by Obama's IRS. How do I know? Well, first, did you see the headlines of Judicial Watch this week? Of course not. No one did. The media never covered the new developments in the IRS scandal involving thousands of abused customers. They were too busy covering the one customer abused by United. Here's what you missed. The IRS has finally handed over thousands of pages of supposedly lost documents. They claimed they were lost forever, erased. It turns out they weren't lost, just hidden from investigators. These documents confirm the IRS illegally targeted conservatives. But the scandal runs much deeper than the abuse of faceless conservative groups. I've personally heard from over 100 individual GOP donors who were mysteriously attacked out of the blue by the IRS, in each case only weeks after writing a donation check to either the GOP, a GOP candidate, or a conservative group. I've heard from board members of Tea Party groups who were attacked by the IRS for the first time in their lives, only weeks after joining the board of the Tea Party. Coincidence? Hardly. I heard from a hedge fund CEO who attended the very first meeting of hedge fund executives for Mitt Romney back in 2011. Every one of the millionaire hedge fund CEOs in the room that day wrote a big check to Mitt Romney, and he reports every one of them wound up under either IRS or SEC attack. 20 for 20. Could that be a coincidence? No way. There are clearly thousands of cases out there just like me. If the IRS targeted thousands of Obama critics and individual conservative donors, this was without a doubt the biggest criminal conspiracy in U.S. political history. And it's easy to prove. Here's my recommendation for President Trump. Start a Department of Justice investigation immediately. This case is so easy to prove. Simply compare Federal Elections Commission lists, FEC lists, of GOP donors for the 8 years of Obama versus a list of IRS audit victims. I'm betting you'll find IRS audit percentages raced through the roof. I'm betting you'll find over 50% of large GOP donors were audited by the IRS during Obama's 8 years. Now compare an FEC list of Democrat donors during Obama's reign. I'm betting you'll find normal random audit rates of 1%. 1% versus 50%. I'm betting what DOJ investigators will also find is that Obama's IRS targeted and audited the highest percentage of GOP donors of any president in history. The numbers will be out of this world. More than any other president times 10. Want to bet? Of course, this is proof of criminal targeting. I know what Obama did to conservatives. This was a massive criminal conspiracy to persecute, punish, intimidate, and bankrupt GOP donors, activists, and critics of Obama. It was meant to weaken and starve Obama's political opposition. It was meant to scare anyone away from writing a check to conservative candidates or causes, and it worked. Lower-level IRS employees didn't do this by themselves. They were just following orders given by the Obama White House to destroy conservatives like me. President Trump must send a loud message. No American citizen can ever again be targeted by government for their political beliefs. Everyone involved must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. President Trump, start this investigation. This is how you drain the swamp. I'm Wayne Allyn Root for Root for America. God bless America and President Donald J. Trump.